Yes, Sam, welcome to part 2 of the Tamiya Rc213 bike build. So, it's been a while, had a bit of a break, but we're back at it now after enjoying Christmas, finally getting some glasses so I can see properly, because that was part of the problem I have with the bikes. It's very small detail, and I'm struggling to touch, but we're back now. And as I said in my bench update, this is going to be we're here for quite a long haul with this, I think. It's going to take quite a few weeks of build, so we're going to aim for a video a week. If we get any more out, all the better, and we'll plod along. But I reckon we're going to be 20-25 plus parts on this easily, because there's a lot to do, but we're in no rush, so we'll get to it as and when we can. Before we get going today, make sure you sub to the channel, click the bell notifications to get notified of our latest videos, give a thumbs up because it all adds up and helps, and leave a comment down below. I do reply to them all and do appreciate every single comment. And as always, anything you see me using in these videos, tools, products, anything is linked in the description of the video. If you click on the description on YouTube, in there is a list, a link to a list of products. Everything I use is there. If you get stuck, send me a message. So, what we're going to do today, we glued all the bodywork together last time, so we're going to sand back all the glue marks, see what needs filling, fill them as required. We're going to mask off and paint the cylinder block on the engine, or blocks rather, on the engine because they need doing. We're then going to assemble the basic engine itself without any of the detail parts just yet. And we're also, I think we'll also get the frame together and our swing arm as well. What we're doing here is planning ahead for future parts. So we're getting all the donkey work out of the way as such, so we're not doing it in other parts, because some of this stuff's going to be left a while to wait, as you see with the likes of sprue glue and things like that. They're going to have to sit and dry for a week or so to make sure they're fully cured. So it's not the most interesting video today, but it's important work to get out of the way, so I hope you stick with it. So let's jump straight in and get cracking with the bodywork. Okay, so this is where we left off last time. All the parts for the bodywork have been glued together, as you can see. So we're going to sand these back today. We're going to see what needs filling in where, fill them, and take care of any sprue points and just get them ready. For now, we're going to use some of the Rocket Max from Deluxe Materials. This is the thick one. And we're going to strengthen behind all the seams. Now, on a couple of these bikes before, more so on my ZXR or Kawasaki, right at the end stage, on the front fender, mudguard, whatever you want to call it, it collapsed on me. It came apart. So from then on, I've had a little run of thick CA in the seam underneath where it can't be seen for a bit of strength and just to add some security to the piece. So all I'm doing is, I'm not putting tons of it in there, but I'm being pretty generous and putting a good bead down the back. And this just adds a lot of strength to the part and gives me a little bit more peace of mind and a bit more confidence in the latter stages when we're polishing and getting all the parts ready for assembly. Now, you don't have to do this. It's just something I do. I found it handy. I've never had a problem doing it. Takes 5 minutes to do all the parts and let it sit and dry for an hour, and that's it. Job done. Really easy, simple. All you got to do is make sure you don't get it on your fingers. You don't get it all over the model, and you don't glue your fingers together, that's for sure. So we're just going systematically around every seam inside, as you can see, and just add in a little bead of CA glue all around, and that'll give us some strength in the later stages of the build. There we go. As you see, I'm not putting loads in there, just enough to fill the gap. Really easy to do. Now our engine. This is where we were up to last time. It was all primed, well, it was built, primed and sprayed. Now we're going to mask off our cylinder heads and spray them in a metallic grey. Now these are rather tricky to do, so we're going to use our Azu tapes, primarily the 1mm and the 2mm, and we're going to carefully go all around and mask all that cylinder. Now it's a bit tricky to do. Perseverance is the key here, a bit of patience. It's well worth doing because the results speak for itself in a little bit. You could brush paint this if you wanted, but you won't get the same result. And for me, just a little bit of extra time is well worth that effort. Like I say, perseverance, just stick with it. Use your tweezers to get all the parts in all the recesses, and then once we're happy they're all in, we come back with a small cotton bud and burnish them home to make sure we've got a nice clean edge to spray up to. So like I say, it is a bit laborious and a little bit boring, but I think this adds to the detail of the kit, and you're making as good a job as you can. Like I say, you could brush paint it. You will never get the level of finish you do with an airbrush, in my opinion. So, like I say, it's time well spent. As you can see, I'm following the seam round that you can see. But we've got lots of little pieces to take the tape over. And this is what I mean about the patience, because this is like doing brain surgery with a pair of tweezers. Just got to be gentle, make sure it's pushed home and exactly where you want it. But like I say, handily, Tamiyas give you a very nice seam line to follow all the way around. And that does make life a little bit easier. So the Tamiya tweezers, making short work of this. I love these tweezers. And they're by far the best tweezers I've used. Had them for a long, long time now. Tips never bend. They just work. That's all Tamiya tools do. So as you see, if you're not happy, just pull the tape back, reposition it. Drag it down, push it in place. And that's it. As easy as that. It's just boring, monotonous, and a little bit test of patience as well. So once you're happy it's in place, I've got one of the Tamiya cotton swabs, because a little bit more tightly wound than your Johnsons and what have you. And we're just pushing all the edges down, making sure they're all fully down in the corners and any edges, none of it's lifted up. Once we're happy with that, we'll then grab our 2mm Aizu tape. And again, any of these products is all linked in the description down below. You can get this from us at Ultimate. This is Tamiya quality tape in much thinner, much handier sizes. So all we're going to do now is follow around just on the edge of the tape we just put on to fill it up, and then we'll come in with the larger Tamiya tape and mask off the rest. So again, just making sure it's all pushed fully home. Just take your time. Once all that's done, grab some Tamiya tape. We've got an awkward little piece on one of the back of one of the cylinder heads where we can't get tape in there, but there's a nice little trick we can do. We can just slot some tape right down the back, all the way down. Oh, it's my head. Just slot it in, slide it down, fold the tape over each side, and fold the sides in, just like packing a parcel, and fold over the top. And that's it. So that's that done. We can now mask up to the edge of that, and that's a tricky part done. Once both sides have been done with the 2mm, we've got our Tamiya tape. We'll cut a nice clean edge. And again, following our 2mm, we're now going to infill around, and so on and so forth, until the whole engine is masked off. We're using our cotton bud again. You can see it's a nice handy little tool to get in there. And being tightly wound, it doesn't leave any fluff behind, which is good. And again, last little remnants, all done. We've infilled it with the 18mm now as well. And that's it, that's ready for paint. Now, a couple of parts we forgot to do last time. These are the intakes. I can't remember the technical term. Those are the throttle bodies on bikes, I'm not sure. But we've got the actual intakes and the trumpet pieces, I suppose. There's going to be bike people out there we go screaming at the screen now. Tell me using the wrong word. But we forgot to paint these last time, so we're going to clean them up, mount them, and then get them ready for primer. And we'll paint them in the next episode, I think, along with some other parts. But some nice little seam lines to clean up, nothing too technical. Pretty easy, really, to be honest. Once you're happy with it, keep all in between your sponges and then hit it with the buffer as usual. But there's lots of tricky little seams on there. We've got my little tiny battery operated drill with, I think it's a 0.3mm drill bit. I think it is, I can't remember now. That drills a tiny little hole in there. Might be a 1mm actually, thinking about it, not 0.3, that's tiny. And then there we go, that is mounted for painting. We're drilling a hole where it can't be seen later on. It's not an issue at all. We've got a wooden stick now with some reverse mounted Tamiya tape. And we're sticking these on to spray them because it's a lot easier than ruining underneath them, but they need to fit flush. That makes life a lot easier. In the spray booth, we've got LP61. which is the metallic grey lacquer paint from Tamiya. We're just going to put a few light coats over, building it up slowly, and make sure we get all the angles and recesses, not flooding the paint on at all. This is thinned about 60% with the lacquer thinner with retarder. We're going through the UMP Apex with a 0.2mm needle at about 18 psi. And 2 to 3 coats of this is sufficient to cover. No problem at all. While we're in here, we'll also paint up and prime those parts we just mounted. Like I say, in the next part, we'll come back and paint them. So there we go. Final last piece of unmasking. That's the tricky little bit of tape we did first. And as you'll see, that careful masking has well and truly paid off, because we've got nice, beautiful, clean demarcations between the colours and a nice difference in the colour themselves. So we're just gluing our sump on. And again, this is a different colour to the cylinder heads. So what we're doing is we're going to do basic assembly of the engine as per the instructions. There's no detail parts to go on just yet. So I thought we'd get it all assembled and then we can come back in part 3 and hopefully start adding a few detail parts to it. I know we've got bolt heads to put on. We've got our clutch to build up as well. There'll probably be a decal here and there. But I just thought if we get the basic assembly done, it's out the way. It can dry and sit happily. And once this gets a wash, this thing is really going to pop, because there's some nice recesses on this to hold a wash. So just keep following your instructions. We've got the thick CA glue again from Deluxe. Keep referring back to instructions and the aftermarket instructions to make sure you're not missing anything out. I've already done it on this. Once you're happy and committed, glue the parts in place and leave them be. And as you see, we've got some nice tonal variation there on parts as well. So, cylinder head rocker covers. Put a little dab of glue on. And we need to orientate these the right way and then refer back to the instructions, because they sit off slightly angled. Careful you don't drop them 400 times. Now I've got the decal tweezers now, because on parts like this, these nice flat tweezers are a little bit more gentle at picking things up. So get the CA glue on, refer to instructions, and then orientate the part the right way. So have a look. To just go off center a little bit, at opposite angles to each other. So again, just keep referring to instructions. I'm off camera a little bit. I do apologise. I'm a little bit too far zoomed in, so I didn't quite realise I was out of camera shot. But you can just about see what I'm doing. You can see better on the other one in a minute. There we go. So again, a little dab of CA glue. A little bit around the edge. Again, pick it up. Refer to instructions. Make sure you're orientated the right way. Once you're happy, pop it in place. And that's it. As simple as that. One last particle on the bottom, and then we've got the clutch cover itself. So every time I do this, I say, mental note, don't be zoomed in too far. And yes, here I am zoomed in too far, and the camera's focusing on my hands. But you can see what we're doing. We're just gluing parts on. So there we go. We're just making sure, yeah, there's a little cape point underneath. Make sure we've got the right side. So only tiny amounts of CA glue, because if you put too much on, when you put the rock cover on, it will squeeze out the side. And we don't want to do that. If it does, if you're very quick, just tap it on, push it home, quick look around, there's a little bit there, wipe it off very quickly, rub your fingers to get rid of it, and that's it, job done. Repeat that for the other side. Very minimal glue. We don't want a lot at all. If you get too much on there, you can remove it with the cotton stick, the cotton bud, my bad, with the cocktail stick. But just take your time. I think I'm about to do that here. There we go. Yeah, just looked at that portal. A little bit too much there. Use the other end. Wipe it away. There we go. Pop it in. Pop it on place. Wipe away. we go, that's that done. So the clutch plate now, we've still got our clutch to assemble. We've got an aftermarket one, and again, there's a locator point on this. So I'm just making sure it fits. Only goes one way, really. So again, a few dabs of CA glue, very sparingly. We don't need a massive amount. This thick CA glue from Deluxe is fantastic. If you are going to glue, stick to the inner edges so that nothing comes out the side. There we go. There is a locating point at the top right. It's going to click in any second. There it is. And that is that. So there's our basic engine assembled. As you can see, we've got some nice tonal variation, 3 different colours there, 4 with the semi-gloss black. So once we detail this up, add some bolt head detail. It's going to look the part. It looked quite good. Next up, we need to paint these up. We'll do that in the next part. So these are all cleaned up and ready to go. But for now, we're going to concentrate on our frame and our swing arm assembly as well. Now, thankfully, no chrome in this. We don't need to strip it. We've got bare plastic to start with. So we're going to get the remnants of the sprue gates off, the biggest parts. Once we've got it all glued together and it's dried and we've filled it, we'll go around and we'll sand all the parts to clean them up fully. Just have a look around for any sprue points we've missed. And then we can start assembly. So we'll pop our front piece in first, make sure it's all lined up, all looks good. And then we'll hit it with our Tamiya plastic weld mix. Not going mad, we don't need a huge amount of glue, just enough for the capillary reaction to carry it through. And around. And again, watch for fingerprints. Don't be using masses of glue because it will go everywhere. Just make sure you get a nice even coverage everywhere. So we've got the piece in the back as well. Again, very sparingly with the glue. Give it a little push. Then we can get the other side on and repeat and glue exactly the same. So obviously the less mess you make now, the easier it is later on because you've got less to clean up. So try and get as little glue as you can everywhere. Try not to spill it or accidentally wipe it the wrong way. And just watch those fingerprints. Fingerprints are the worst things in the world. Not only do they put a fingerprint on the plastic, they can take detail off. And they can really make your life a living hell. Especially on finishes like this. This will be a metal finish, so the better we can get it now, the better finish we'll have at the end. So again, just take your time. Small amount of glue. Just to ensure everything's set in place. And there we go. Put it to one side to set. And we're all good. So, swing arm. Now, we do have some modifications due to the back on this, but we're not going to do those just yet. But what we are going to do is glue all the halves together. And again, just like the frame, they can sit and dry. And then we can come back and fill them in, de-seam them. Oh, it's popped open. You don't want that to happen either. De-seam them, get them all nice and clean and seamless. Because again, this is a natural metal finish. So we want to make sure we get as good a blank canvas as we can. And again, once you've got it in place, give it a little squeeze. That molten plastic can save a lot of filling later on. So you don't have to go Hulk smash on it. But just give it a little squeeze to get any plastic out that you can. Now, the body panels. So, we've strengthened them already. We're now going to sand off the sprue points and then our seam, and that will give us an idea of what needs filling and where. So anywhere there's a sprue point sticking up, I use a flat sander. This is a 400 thinny stick from UMP. So once the majority of that is gone, we'll go to the 240 sponge. 220 sponge, sorry. And then we'll hit a raw buffer and have a look at what we've got left to do. Pretty minimal cleanup really, it's just a case of systematically round, making sure that everywhere is cleaned up properly. Don't go too hard. I know people laugh at this, but let the sander do the work. That's the idea of it. You let the tool do the work. You're not supposed to be leaning on this with all your strength. Let the abrasives with the sander take the plastic off. And again, you don't want a flat spot either, so don't be, again, hulking this one. Just take your time. And make sure the sander doesn't snag anywhere, because it can rip the plastic out your hand or snap parts. And just keep stopping from time to time and inspecting the plastic to make sure you're not going too far, or your hole or the seam is too big to fill. Just take your time. Like I say, after this, we'll switch to the buffer. Then we get a nice clean piece of plastic. Now what I've got here is sprue glue. We've used this before, so this is half a bottle of Tamiya extra thin, filled to the brim with plastic sprues cut off. It then melts and you end up with a plastic glue. Once this dries, it dries just as hard as the plastic. It's a really good filler. The problem is it takes forever to dry. Because of the high glue content, it does take quite a while to dry and does stay soft for some time. So plan ahead. This is why we're going to do this, and we're going to leave the panels alone for a couple of weeks before we come back. And then we'll sand them again, and hopefully all those seams should be a distant memory. So you want as little as possible on this as you can, because the less thick you do the bead, the quicker it dries. And just go all down the seam that you're doing. As you can see, we're just following the line all the way down. There we go. If you missed anywhere, go back. So this piece is freshly sanded. I can see a couple of seams on there. So we're going to go back, hit it up with the sprue glue again. Just follow the seam all the way around. And just fill it all in. Like I say, less is more. You don't need a massive amount. Just enough to leave a raised presence of where the seam was. It sands really easy. Sands just as easy as the plastic once it's dry. It's just that long drying time makes it not as favourable as a filler. With CA glue, I could CA glue this, and even if I let it dry naturally, I could sand within an hour, easily within an hour. If I use Kicker, I could sand it instantly. But CA glue is hit and miss. Sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes it doesn't, whereas this seems pretty reliable. We'll find out in a few video parts time when we come back and sand it. But hopefully, this will take care of any seam lines that we've got present. So again, like I said, less is more. Try and put down as little as you can, because it dries quicker and you'll have less cleanup as well. So, as you can see, all the body panels are done now. So they're all sprue glue, whichever you want to call it. So they're going to sit in the box now and dry. And then we'll come back in a couple of weeks and give them a sand. Okay then, there we are, that's where we're at today. So we're going to let all that bodywork dry now. It's all been sanded back, checked. We've got our super glue underneath, CA glue to strengthen it as well. It's a very important step, I think, and one well worth following with as well. We're going to let that sprue glue dry for a good couple of weeks now. We're just going to leave the bodywork alone while we work on the frame, the swing arm and the engine, and we'll be back for part 3 as soon as we can. Won't be too long, hopefully, and we'll start getting all that frame and swing arm ready for paint, and get that primered up and painted. I know the colour I'm going to use. We'll talk about that next time. It's going to be on the TS sprays. I think it's the colour it calls out in the instructions, to be honest. I think it's TS83, I think it is. That's the colour we're going to use on it. I will progress from there. We'll probably start maybe detailing some of the engine and what have you, but we'll play that by ear as we go. So there we go. Thanks for watching today. I'll catch you all next time. Before we go, make sure you check out International Scale Model Facebook page and forum. UMPRetail.com. You can get a lot of these products you've seen me use today. That's mine and Lee's website. The Live at the Bench page for the Friday night show, the Off Air Hangout crew for the Off Air Hangouts, and my Paul ISM page as well. Make sure you sub to the channel, click the notification bell to get notified of all the latest videos, click thumbs up, leave a comment. I appreciate all the comments and reply to every single one, so please leave a comment if you wish. I'll catch you all next time. Take care. Bye bye.